For the welcome and opening remarks, I am very pleased to introduce Jean-Paul Servet, and unfortunately I won't get to introduce Commissioner McGuinness. That will be Jean-Paul's job. Jean-Paul has dedicated his entire professional life to financial supervision. Since 2007, he is the chairman of the Financial Services and Markets Authority, FSMA, who is our host today of this building, and its predecessor, and since 2002, he is also the chair of the International Organization of Securities Commissions, otherwise known as IOSCO. Jean-Paul is a great believer of financial education, and he is the founding father of Wikifin, the financial education program of FSMA. Sorry that I'm sometimes mispronouncing FSMA because the commission department that's also working here is FSMA. So I work for FSMA, and that's why I'm having trouble saying FSMA. And he's also the father of the Wikifin Lab, which you'll all have a chance to visit today. So Jean-Paul, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Aidas. I'm very happy that you take my usual role to be the bad cop today. Great idea. Thanks for that. So good morning, Commissioner. Good morning, dear Mehmet. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As chair of the Belgium FSMA and of the IOSCO board, the worldwide organization of securities market regulate, I am very pleased to welcome, not only pleased, but it's a real honor for me to welcome all of you to today's high-level conference on financial literacy, resilience, and inclusion. And it's indeed a high-level conference. When I see it, how many speakers decide, I would say, to come from abroad, from other continents, from Paris, OECD, and also thank for your presence, Commissioner. I think I may say that's the first time that the European Commissioner is there in the premises of the FSMA. Thanks, we are very honored. Maybe one comment about something which is maybe a surprise for you, the building. The building we find ourselves in is a fitting symbol of the time we live and work in today. It used to be a bank. I would say the historical part, the 19th, the Bank of the Sun. Doesn't happen frequently for a bank, I would say. See the pavement. The same for people living in Brussels in the Galerie de la Reine, the same period. So it means a historical part combined with a new tech, I would say, environment. With a lot of space for teleworking and so on. So it means that I think it's not exaggerated to say it's no home to a supervisor adapted to the modern world of finance, and this world keeps changing at an even faster pace. And in this ever-changing society, of course, needless to say that financial literacy is recognized worldwide as an essential life skill for both individual and society as a whole. And the challenges facing the consumer are great. Geopolitical and economic uncertainty. Digitalization of financial services, an opportunity, but also a huge challenge for financial education. You will see the Wikifin Lab is fully dedicated to digital, I would say, tools. I had to be convinced, commissioned by my young member of staff. I was not convinced, I would say, but I have to say they were right to convince me. It means also that we are working on it I would say, every day. Growing risk of misleading marketing messages on social media and via new marketing channels, increasing complexity of investment product, and so on. What does it mean? It means that financial literacy, resilience, and inclusion are therefore crucial to meet these challenges. And this is why I am so delighted that we have been able to organize the conference together with the European Commission. And I think it's fair, objective to say that Commissioner McGuinness has, since the beginning of her mandate in 2020, devoted considerable attention to financial literacy. The competence framework for both adult and young people developed jointly with the OECD, as well as the conference, are fine illustration of this focus. Commissioner, all your efforts in the field of financial literacy are very much needed and greatly appreciated, so thank you. If I may, and off the record, between us, I would say, because there is no audience, as you know, only 400 people, and as stressed by BATCUP, by EDAS, I have had the pleasure to work with many, many different commissions after 20 years. Many commissioners of DGFIN, all excellent people, outstanding civil servants. But I think it's not exaggerated to say, Merit, that's the first time that I see a European Commissioner paying so much attention to John and Mary in the street. Retail Investor Strategy, a famous paper, and I hope that we will make progress before the end of the year. Our staff is also involved in this discussion. I would say that's the first time that I see so many references, which is not so easy because the legal framework is fragile at EU level, and thanks for that because we share the same value, dear ma'am. It's always better a starting point not to have, I would say, a crisis and a paper published by the G20, FSB, European Commission, OECD, IOSCO, or even the FSMA. It's better that the starting point is John and Mary in the street and how to pay attention to their expectation. And that's what we are doing when we speak about, I would say, financial literacy and inclusion. And I would also, of course, dear Commissioner, like to thank you, team, for having helped make this conference possible. Also, I think it's objective to say it was an excellent experience for my team to work with all the staff of the European Commission. Needless to say, of course, that as a financial supervisor and regulator, I am convinced, of course, that financial literacy is absolutely crucial. More than 13 years ago, when the FSMA was launched, 1st of April 2011, and it was not an April Fool, the FSMA asked for and was given a legal mandate. I personally love it. I will come back, I would say, on this period. I had the pleasure to testify many, many times at the Parliament. I don't know why. But at the time, I love it personally in order to get the mandate, which didn't exist before in Belgium regulation. And here we are. We ask for, and I think that it's important to stress that the FSMA was given a legal mandate for financial education. International consensus on the importance of financial literacy confirmed that it was a good decision. At the time, it was rather challenging. Our mission in respect of financial education complements our mandate as financial supervisor. This is instrumental. Why? Because it means, in other words, that the task of education is over and above our supervisory activity, but will never replace. One traditional mistake is to say, either I decide to be a tough supervisor or I only believe in financial education. Either I decide to smash bankers, insure between four walls, or I only believe in financial education. I think the best approach is not because we like the Belgium compromise in Belgium, is to have a balanced approach. We can be proud to be, I would say, professional, challenging, tough supervisor, and at the same time support all initiatives about financial education. Later on during this conference, I will say more about how the FSMA has worked consistently. Why? But first of all, because I have the pleasure to work with excellent people at the FSMA, and I would like to thank them sincerely because they are working very hard, I would say, in all departments, but also especially in the WikiFin team. But there are also maybe other reasons why I think that we are going in the right direction, and maybe explain why. Maybe we can think that Belgium is a kind of benchmark, but of course I am not objective as IOSCO and FSMA chair. And I will have the pleasure to explain what we are doing for more than 10 years now, because WikiFin was launched 10 years ago, in order to promote financial literacy in Belgium. And through the window, ladies and gentlemen, I would say at least there, not here because it's only a wall, through the windows you can already get a glimpse of our well-known WikiFin lab that we will have a chance to visit later today. In my capacity as chair of the IOSCO board, I would also like to emphasize the importance we attach to financial literacy at international level. We have a committee on retail investor. Pasquale is there from the CONSOP. He's the chair of C8, course, we have different committee. That's committee number 8. The IOSCO Committee on Retail Investor is mandated to conduct IOSCO policy work on retail investor education and financial literacy. And the annual World Investor Week is one of the committee's initiatives that makes a valuable contribution to promoting financial education and literacy at international level, and Pasquale will say more about during his panel later today. The need for financial literacy is obvious. We are all convinced, especially in this room, of that. But how best to address this? What initiative works and what initiative don't work? It's important to have, I would say, a comprehensive assessment of the situation. How can we ensure that the most vulnerable in the society are also reached, also a challenge for us in Belgium? And during the conference, we will try to provide answer to these and many other questions, just because we have a lot to learn from each other. I am the first one to recognize that we learn a lot from many other people. I will come back on this, and you will see also translation of this learning experience also for the FSMA during the visit of the Wiki Finland. And I firmly believe that this is one of the keys to promoting financial literacy. And also, ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, I would like to thank you for having come in such large numbers to attend this conference. It's a maximum capacity for the FSMA, plus many hundreds of people on a remote basis. What does it mean? It means that the strong interest in the program, there were many more people interested in coming than the space available, indicate that in a wide range of areas, there is a strong commitment to continue investing in financial literacy. To conclude, I wish all of you, both those present in person and those attending the conference online, a very insightful day. I now would like to give the floor to Commissioner McGuinness. As a former journalist, she has since 2004 had a remarkable career in Europe. First in the European Parliament, including as its first Vice President from 2017 to 2020, and since 2020 as Commissioner. As European Commissioner for Financial Services, Financial Stability and Capital Market Union, she has repeated on many occasions that financial literacy plays a crucial role in our society. We were therefore very honored to be asked to organize this conference jointly with the European Commission. And if I may, from a more personal point of view, in the past few weeks, I have had the pleasure of working with the Commissioners several times within the framework of the Belgian presidency of the Council of the European Union. I was so happy to be with you in order to find a Belgian compromise for ESG rating, important for the trust in the Green Deal, but also about Listing Act, how to streamline and to avoid unnecessary administrative burden for companies going public. And it was a real pleasure, and I see that you are still alive and kicking after such an experience with me, I would say. And so I am happy to be together again today in order to keep financial literacy at the top of the agenda. Commissioner, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I think that's a very rousing start to what should be a very interesting day. And I'm going to say cheers because we made it. I've been talking about financial literacy since I arrived into the Commission. I'm passionate about it because it's important for families and society. And now today we've pulled together with the cooperation and working so well with the Belgian presidency that it really is a moment to celebrate. So cheers to all of us. And then to the meat of the sandwich. Jean-Paul, thank you very much. I have to say you're one of the cheeriest colleagues to be in a room with late in the evening when we're trying to find a compromise. But really a sincere thanks, not just for your opening remarks and the passion with which you spoke around financial literacy and the resilience and inclusion piece, but also for the use of the hall, clearly, but also your services who worked so well with my service. So FSMA and FSMA worked really well together. I want to mention in particular our close relationship and my working relationship with Minister Van Petegem, not only Minister for Finance, but Deputy Prime Minister. And really, I have had such an open ear on this topic because we both share a belief that we can make a difference to society. Because all too often when we think of financial services, it's for the finance industry. So it's like set apart. But in fact, the financial sector is for people and business. And I think today's conference is about widening the conversation, talking about not just what Europe's doing, but we have colleagues across the globe. We have OECD, we have Morocco, we have the US, because we don't have all the answers, but we want to share our experience and you equally will share yours with us. So today is actually one of the most important conferences that I will address as Commissioner. It is very close to my heart. I suppose my experience of journalism from 1980 up until 2004, I would have reported on situations where there were difficulties around financial literacy, where people got themselves into debt unknowingly and unwittingly and paid a high price. We lived through the financial crisis. We saw what happened to families and society. So we don't want to go back there again. We don't want to repeat those mistakes, and we shouldn't, because we now are better equipped and have greater knowledge around this policy area. Because we're here to make a difference to the lives of people. Because financial literacy and knowing how to manage your money is really central, not just to financial well-being, but general well-being. I want everyone to have the skills and confidence, and I repeat the word confidence, to know your way around money and what to do with it. To be able to ask the right questions when you don't know and to persist in asking those questions. I often find that there are many in a room who will want to ask a question of a panelist but are a little bit shy in case they're shown up. I've never suffered from such embarrassment. I've always asked the basic questions because if you do that, you will get answers and if you persist. So I want people to have that sense of confidence because, you know, we all need to take financial decisions that work for us and allow us to achieve our goals. We need to assess risks involved when we do go into buying financial products. And also that depends on your own personal circumstances. And sometimes navigating the whole financial landscape, which is becoming quite complex and digitalized, can add problems for people. And when I mention digitalization, you know, it's a fantastic resource and we're all going towards a more digitalized economy and society. Sometimes people can be excluded because of it. So we have to be very mindful of that. And I mean, I like the word financially savvy. I kind of think that encapsulates. We were, you know, tossing with the idea of to extend money matters and, you know, with an extra sentence. And I said, delete anything extra. Money matters is really the core of today's conference and being financially savvy. It includes things like being ready for unforeseen problems that arise where you have extra financial needs, or indeed making the most of opportunities that can come your way. There is a slogan and a saying that says, your health is your wealth, and your wealth is your health. And too often people who have difficulties around finance are ill. They can have mental health issues, but they can be physically ill by the anxiety and stress that they suffer. So we don't want people to be worrying unnecessarily when we have the skills to allow them get rid of that worry and cope more effectively. Of course, we won't solve this problem in a day's conference, but we can highlight the issues and persist with working with it. So people just to generally know about money and be in control of their day-to-day spending and indeed planning for the future. But the focus today also goes beyond that, because we're not just looking at, as I say, the individual. The individual is key, but we're looking beyond it on benefits to society as a whole. And this is where resilience is key, because those who are financially literate are also more resilient. They're more likely to have built up savings in the case of an unexpected expense. And so having more financially literate individuals means a more resilient society. Today is also about making sure that the financial system is as inclusive as possible, that there aren't unnecessary barriers preventing people from accessing financial services. And that's what financial inclusion is all about, and it's something we need to think about constantly and work on diligently. Last week I attended an event organised by cancer survivors, highlighting the difficulties many face accessing financial products like insurance linked to a mortgage. So we know that certain groups face difficulties when interacting with the financial system. Overall, my goal is to have a financial system that everyone can relate to and that everyone can participate in with confidence. And we're not there yet, which means that we can, have more opportunities when we do get there. And that's what it's all about. If you look to our recent Eurobarometer survey of 27 member states, it just shows how much work we need to do. And just a few examples. 1 in 4 of respondents aged between 18 and 24 years have a low score on financial literacy. And this is the worst score among all age groups. Most respondents were not confident they will have enough money to live comfortably through their retirement years. So that's a worry, personally for them and also for society. Many households would struggle to cope with an unexpected income shock. And around 1 in 6 respondents reported they had no emergency savings at all. So we need to tackle all these related problems: financial inclusion, financial resilience, and financial literacy. We can and should do more to create a society where people can be in a position to lift some of the stress caused by worries around money, where people are better prepared, whether in a short-term financing for any unforeseen bumps on the road or in the long term looking towards retirement. And the good news is that we're starting not from scratch, so we have a bedrock in place. The Commission, together with the OECD, developed 2 financial competence frameworks, one for children and young people and one for adults. And these set out the skills and attitudes needed to show you or know your way around money. And they're the start of ensuring we have a shared understanding of the issue so we can raise the bar across the EU. We also have measures set out in law, like the recent retail investment strategy, where we encourage member states to promote the education of prospective everyday investors. And member states and many in the financial sector are already working on this issue. And I want to acknowledge that. And I know Wim is here in the audience and others. There are many people before me who are passionate about financial literacy. But I hope we see that I've been stitching you all together. If people understand what stitching means anymore, but those of us of a certain age do. It's called the right to repair now, but it used to be just repair. And I think that's really important because everybody working separately can do a lot. But people working together can achieve great things, and that's why we brought you together, and that's what today is about. We have a broad range of organisations and sectors with very different perspectives, and I really want to thank our keynote speakers and panellists. We have strong support, as I've said, from the Belgian presidency for today's conference, and members of the government will be taking the floor, and again, our huge appreciation, because it's very important that we have that support. We also have financial regulators and supervisors who work on this issue across the member states. We have academics who can update us on the research, and I know tomorrow's dedicated academic conference will be very valuable as well. We have representatives from different parts of the financial sector. And I think we know that the financial sector have a benefit if we have more resilient clients. So I think you also have, they say, have skin in the game. We have civil society representing areas like consumer debt and support for older people. So you are very welcome and you're very important in this conference. We're also looking beyond Europe, and I think we need to look at the international picture. Really delighted to have with us Director Rohit Chopra from the US Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Deputy Secretary General Yoshika Takayushi from the OECD, and Executive Director Fatima Zahra Aziz from the Moroccan Foundation for Financial Education. Thank you so much for being with us. You will bring wisdom to the gathering. And I know everyone here is united by our goal, that finance should be more inclusive, and we can make that happen if we work together. Now, just one point. There are 2 sides to this story, so it's worth saying that yes, empowering citizens is vital, but so too is the need for the financial sector itself to constantly look at the products they sell to citizens. Are they overly complex? Are they inclusive? So today I ask you to focus on concrete solutions, building on the good work that already exists, but also thinking more about what can we do to keep this topic on the agenda and to build on success. So in closing, for me, this is a great achievement to see a full house. You have no idea how much we appreciate the backroom teams. Idas is looking at me with that anxious face, the timekeeper. I can see his shadow across me. I'll stop in a moment. But you have no idea how important it is for me as Commissioner, but for our teams, my Cabinet, our services, and I know FSMA also that you are here. And I want you to feel free to speak your mind. Because there's no point in holding back and afterwards saying, I should have said something. This is an opportunity to fashion change. I also think this is a real opportunity in an election year to get these topics higher on the agenda and also to frame a topic for the next Commission, whoever should be in this role or indeed in the college. I believe that this is a societal moment where the financial system as the backbone of our economy and society can play an even greater part in achieving the objectives we set ourselves in Europe around equality, around the just transition, around the greening of our society and economy. Because, colleagues, money matters, and today it particularly matters. I wish us all a really, really inclusive and energetic conference. Thank you so much.